Good evening, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about something that I don't think people talk about very often. We're going to talk about the difference between a professional photographer and an amateur photographer. Because if you understand this working backwards, if you're a professional and you think you're a professional and you look at these certain things and go, I don't have these things, you might want to reevaluate your business. So, this topic is going to be slightly controversial, I think, because I might even potentially offend someone, and I hope I don't. Ultimately, I hope it makes you learn and think about things in a little different light, okay? So, the first thing is, how many out there think that the difference between the professional and the amateur is the photography, right? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say I wish this was the case, that this is the case, that once you take amazing photos, you're a professional. But to this day and age, in this day of technology, where pretty much everybody has a camera on them at all times, and so many people literally grew up with a camera in their hands, it's not a special skill set, which might make you feel, ew, golly, really? It's not. Yes, there is some skills to it, of course, but is it of that level between the professional and the amateur? Is it the difference between the person playing high school basketball and Michael Jordan? The hoops, the photos might not be it. So, I mean, for me, for example, I actually learned in the darkroom, but I don't think that really matters that much anymore because people don't really use the darkroom anymore. There are photographers out there who literally don't know the difference between an amateur and a shutter speed, and they're professionals, which is kind of cringy feeling, right? But it's true because none of this actually identifies the difference between the professional and the amateur. You know what else doesn't identify the difference between a professional and amateur? How much money you make. Or is it your full-time career? Part-time people can be professionals too. You can make $1 or you can make $1 million. And that might not set you apart as a professional and amateur as well. Again, I wish this was true as well. It would make things a lot easier. It would make the line less gray. But that's not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about what does set the difference between a professional and amateur. And you know what it comes down to? The customer, the client. That's really what's going to make the difference, because when it comes down to a professional, it's how they're going to deal with their customer experience. And so we're going to talk about now the 3 biggest ways to tell the difference between the professional and the amateur, and it isn't the quality of their photos, but it's the quality of their customer experience. Because in my opinion, to be a pro, it means you have to have the potential for longevity. And in order to have the longevity, you have to have happy customers. And you have to have a happy photographer. Because when I say a happy photographer, it means you're not going to be able to have the longevity if you're not happy, and it's going to lead to burnout. And you're also not going to be able to longevity if you have customers who aren't happy time after time after time, because really a secret to success is having the customers that are going to come back time and time and time again. So the 3 things we're going to talk about, which are so not sexy and so not fun, are systems and business, because that's what we really come here to learn, and that's what people seem to forget a lot. So we're going to talk about organization. Organization is the absolute number 1 thing that is going to set apart the photographer from the aperture or from the amateur. And this comes down to clear and easy customer experience. From the moment the client finds the photographer, you want them to be led down a path that makes sense. You don't want them coming back to you being like, wait, I didn't get that email, or how do I sign the proposal, or why did the invoice get delayed from the packages, from the contract. You want everything to be seamless and easy, right? Easy for them to contact you via your website, your emails, your social media. You want an easy system so that they can see the offerings or your packages and they can go through the booking process really, really easy. You want it easy for you so that you don't have to keep chasing them, and you want it easy for them, because the longer you take someone away from a booking, the less likely they are to book you. How often do you fall for clickbait on Instagram just because it seems so easy and it's so pretty and the sales is right in your face? That's what you want this to be. Everything needs to look easy. So now, how do you do this? There's a lot of programs out there. People tend to call them CRMs, but technically, client relation managements, which we talked about last week, technically they're not. Technically, they're more studio management programs because it's really where you're not going to be managing your entire email list. It's going to be where you're going to be managing your file cabinet. So like if your CRM is considered your address book, this is like your file cabinet where you can easily open a drawer, pull out a client's name, and see every email that's sent, every proposal that's sent, every invoice that's sent. And a couple of the programs out there that can do this would be ShootQ, Dubsado, Honeybook, Pixieset. There's a lot. So organization number 1, communication system number 2. So this is a system that you can create yourself in your own organization and how your mind works, or you can find a CRM, a client relation management, which we talked about a little bit last week. But the biggest thing you just want to remember is you want to be quick to respond. Oftentimes, amateurs don't take it as seriously as a professional does. There's probably less on the line, really, right? It's easier for them to walk away. They don't have the invested time, money, anything. You want to make sure that whoever you're dealing with and the professional is quick to respond. Always respond within 24 hours. And if you have a system in place, this is more likely, because if you don't have a system in place and you're just kind of receiving emails willy-nilly, then they're more likely to slip through the cracks. They're more likely to fall down the to-do list. You want to always respond within 24 hours. You want to have that. The professional photographer always has that ability and eagerness to answer questions. So they're able to answer questions really easily, really quickly. They don't have to go back and think about things. They know what they're doing. It's all systematic. It's just par for the course. You want the emails to also live in a space where the communication can be saved and referred back to as needed. So whether you have a really well-organized email box with folders that organize what's what, or you're using a CRM, client relation management, whatever works for you, you just really want to make sure you have a system. Every morning you wake up and from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m., all you do is answer emails. And then you take notes, Evernote, for example. So whatever system works for you, just want to make sure you think about your communication. All right? And you always want to be able to refer back, because this is also great for, like, say if a client needs reference to something, you can go back and say, well, in this email, to go. So then that is number 2. Number 2, communication. Number 3 is good for the client, but really good for the photographer, and that is your image organization. How are you organizing your images? Because you can go crazy. If you're shooting, I think I took a count that last year alone I photographed, I think it was close to 300,000, 250,000 pictures in a matter of months. So what are you doing with all these pictures? Where are they stored? Do you have a system? Are they backed up 3 times? How do you go from your camera to the card to the computer to the hard drive? And then on top of that, how do you deliver your images to your client? Because that's, again, super important for your image organization and the client experience and for your own experience. The online gallery is the number 1 way to go, and it's the number 1 investment I think you can take in your business right off the bat. So, for example, if you have a client who comes to you 2 years later and goes, I lost all my images, going and saying, sorry, out of luck, doesn't feel good, isn't a fun response, and that client's going to walk away and be like, yeah, technically I guess it was in my contract, but man. Where if you have a really good storage system and an online gallery already set up, it's 2 seconds for you to share their images back with them, and they're going to be so impressed, so happy. They're going to go tell their friends. You're going to have the longevity, you're going to have the peace of mind, and you can continue with being a professional photographer that you are. So showing and seeing how you deliver photos also presents you. It makes you look like you got your shit together. Business systems and organizing is what's going to do that. So those are my top 3 aspects that really set apart a professional from an amateur. You have got, number 1, you've got organization of the entire business. You've got your file cabinet in place. Number 2, you've got your communication system. You've got your little address book in place. And number 3, you've got your image organization. Okay, so a little disclaimer. Obviously, I started off talking about how the quality of images doesn't matter, I'll be honest. But I'm amending that because, of course, the images matter. But in this case, it's kind of a given that the photos are of a certain quality. If you're considering yourself an amateur who's going out there trying to be a professional, you probably take decent photos, right? So that's kind of a given, which is why I really wanted to focus on the professional aspect, because those are the things that get overlooked. Those are the things people wait to do. And this is the thing that's going to also really give you that confidence. So, what this is about is, does this photographer, does the professional photographer have the other skills it takes to actually be a professional? Okay? Do they have the business skills? Are they professional in their demeanor and in their relationships and in their communication? Are they confident? Are they organized? Are they investing in themselves and their photography? Because this is number one. To be a professional means taking a few risks. And these are the true things that set apart a professional from an amateur: their willingness to invest, their willingness to take a risk, and their willingness to show up. So, I hope this was super helpful and fun and inspiring, and that you go out there and do it for yourself. All right. Good night, my friends. Thanks.